The future of Dragon Ball without Toriyama involvement. Now, the common misconception that a lot of people get when they look at a lot of different Dragon Ball media, like Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, movies, people think that Toriyama is not involved at all, when that is not the case. Even if it's minor, there's always been some type of minor involvement of Toriyama in all these different type of medias. Some stuff are greater than others and some are smaller than others. But now in the future, moving on, we're going to get a Dragon Ball with no Toriyama involvement besides whatever he left behind possibly. But until then, we don't really know what was left behind. And Toriyama is someone who does work a lot, so I'm pretty sure he has many ideas and things that he has, hidden away that they probably got that they may use or they may not. We don't know right now. But moving forward, there's been a lot of rumors of people thinking that Dragon Ball is going to end, and ultimately, they're not going to end Dragon Ball no time soon. It was already revealed in the interview that Akio stated that, Dragon Ball is going to go on for the next couple of decades. And that's true because it makes too much money, whether it's video games, toys, and other type of, you know, figurines and arts and stuff like that, and merchandise. So they're not going to stop making Dragon Ball. We're going to still get Dragon Balls, whether it's movies, shows, and especially if Toriyama already passed the torch to Toyotaro, they have someone in place of that spot somewhat. Even though the future of Dragon Ball, my concerns would be that we're missing some of that, Toriyama's flavor. Which it's obvious when you look at something like Daima compared to Super, whether you're debating on which show is better, you could clearly see a big difference with Toriyama's involvement, where the Daima executed, you know, the timing and everything on the show properly. But there's just certain things that I missed that it gave feelings of Z watching Dragon Ball Daima, and hints of Dragon Ball as well, with the humor and a lot of things, the action and the art, everything. So ultimately, this will be missed. But as far as Dragon Ball's future, Dragon Ball will definitely continue on, and they're not stopping no time soon. And we're going to definitely get more movies, and eventually may get the anime returning of Dragon Ball Super, because the manga is still going on, and there's going to still be lots of more Dragon Balls coming, and we may get a season 2 of Dragon Ball Daima or something completely different, and they go in a different direction. It's hard to say, but we're going to definitely get more Dragon Balls, that's for sure. And as far as, when it comes to Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Daima, there's been a lot of confusion with if the shows are connected, and they never said the shows are not connected, and they never said the show was connected. So right now, we don't really know, but ultimately we do know is a direct connection to Dragon Ball Z. And the reason for this is that when it comes to the future of Dragon Ball, where right now Super is like the leading brand, but ultimately Dragon Ball Z was a top leading brand for, the franchise for a long time, with all the games being named Dragon Ball Z, and except for Dragon Ball GT Final Bout and few games, but ultimately it all was named Dragon Ball Z for a long time. And even so, as we get the new games, even Sparking Zero, they don't call it Dragon Ball Super Sparking Zero. It's just called Dragon Ball, which ultimately Dragon Ball is the original branding name of everything when you're looking at back to the manga. And ultimately, those are the original source of canon. Everything else is just like filler, because everything is being self-contained within that Dragon Ball, timestamp of that, pretty much that Z portion where we got, Super and now Daima. GT went after, Z, and they're not choosing not to go past that right now, because ultimately they're keeping all the connections towards that original Z portion. And pretty much what Akio said, it's not about trying to add anything new, it's just filling in the blanks. And pretty much Super is just filling in the blanks of that was put in place by Dragon Ball Z. Now, ultimately, there's a thing that people say they want Super to go past Z, and there's a big possibility that Super may end and not go past the Z portion of Dragon Ball Z, where the 10 years is happening. We may not get past that because ultimately Super is supposed to be a show that takes place within that time frame, and that's what's the gist of it. Now, it's possible they could end Super after, everything is wrapped up with Black Frieza and get to the tournament, but then they may create something brand new, which may either be a brand new show, which may take place. And I'm just looking at what they're doing, and they don't tend to overlap over timestamps. So, like I said, same thing with GT already has the time frame after Z, and I don't think that they're willing to go back and do a rewrite over this time frame. They may just keep it in the standpoint. Which they might do is go back to GT and do something after Goku's battle with Omega Shenron and show what happens within that 100 years time, stamp. And that's a big possibility. Anything is possible now. So right, the current moment, there's many things that they have room to do in Dragon Ball franchise with Super, Daima, and whatever new is coming. And it's far from over. So even though we don't have Toriyama's here and he will be missed, Dragon Ball will still live on forever.